Hello, PLP Geometry. Welcome to Unit 1, Video 3, covering defined terms, and we're focusing on angles in this video. All right. I cannot stress the importance of angles. It is so important, right? Again, a lot of kids confuse angles because, they're not like segments. They don't have length. They have what's called an angle measure. We need to make sure we kind of think about that as we look at angles. So this is, again, Unit 1, part of Unit 1, Intro to Geometry. Again, you're learning a lot of vocab. Please try to keep it all straight. So this is video number 3. So this is where I would start my notes at. Video number 3, defined terms. So again, we're still looking at more defined terms. But now we're going to look at angles this time. Okay? So when we think about an angle, right, we need to think about a figure that is formed, so formed by two rays with the same endpoint. Angle is formed by two rays with the same endpoint. Now, if you look at that definition, that's almost the same as opposite rays, right? Opposite rays do form an angle, and we'll talk about that when we go over the types of angles. But for right now, we're not going to look at a pair of opposite rays. We're going to look at a pair of rays that are angled with each other. So I'm going to draw a point right here. I'm going to call that point Q. That is going to be my vertex. Okay? So that same endpoint right there is called the vertex. So I'm going to put that, because that's an important point, the vertex. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two rays. I'm going to draw ray QP going up like this. I'm going to draw ray QR going down like this. So this is an angle, right? This angle has measure right here, this arc. How wide those two rays are from each other, that width is the angle measure, okay? Beware that angles are measured in degrees, and we'll talk about that when we get to looking at angle measures. Now, there are a couple different ways to name angles, okay? Oh, first of all, so Q is the vertex. So again, let's talk about the parts. So point Q is the vertex. And then if you look at QP and QR, those rays are the sides. So ray QP and QR are the sides of the angle. So vertex, sides. Okay, so there are a couple different ways you can name an angle. First, if that angle is all by itself, you can name it with one letter, and that letter would be the vertex. So I could call this angle Q. Okay, but that angle has to be by itself. If that angle has other angles around it, right, using Q as the vertex, you should name it with three letters. You should name it with one letter from one side, so I'll start with P. So angle P, and then the vertex in the middle, and then the other letter from the other side, R. You can also name it backwards. You could start with R, so angle R, Q, and then P. And last but not least, when you see an angle and it has a number inside of it, like a 2, for instance, okay, you can name this angle by that number 2. You could call it angle 2. That is not its measurement. That is just another label. A lot of times when we do this, when we do proofs, we use these numbered angles. Now again, I want to make a point on the second way of naming that Q, the vertex, is in the middle. So Q, which is the vertex, again, I cannot stress enough, is in the middle. Because it is the hinge point, right? It is that same end point that those two sides connect at. Okay, perfect. So there is what an angle is and how to name it. So now let's talk about the different measurements of an angle. Okay, and I'm going to go Oh, on here, let's put this. So when we talk about the measure of an angle, we put a little m in front of it. So the measure of angle PQR, right? That is pronounced as the measure of angle PQR. And that angle measure is going to be made in what are called degrees. Degrees has this little symbol. It's a little circle that goes high. Degrees. Okay, so let's talk about the different types of angles you might see in this class. Okay, so first off, if I have my two sides going in the same direction, so say this is my vertex, let's call it V for vertex, and let's say I have one side going this way, and I have the other side going the exact same way, like they're on top of each other. These two angles, or these two sides, there's no distance or width between them. So this is what we call a 0-degree angle. All right, now again, you won't see this, but it's there. Now, if I lift this side up, this one, and I go all the way up, like this, this angle right here is going to have a right angle box right there, and it's going to be called a right angle. A right angle. And that right angle is going to have a measure of 90 degrees. Now, if I don't get quite to 90, maybe I stop somewhere like here. So I'm still using this side, but now my angle only goes up this high. So this is my angle right here. That angle right there, that is called an acute angle. So this right here is called an acute angle. Acute. Acute angles have a measurement somewhere in between 0 and 90 degrees. Okay. Now, if we take that original angle, I'm going to do it in, let's do it in purple. If I take that original angle, but now I go all the way to the other side. Remember that idea of opposite rays we talked about a minute ago? And I go to be an opposite ray. Now, this angle measure right here is 180 degrees. That angle measure is a straight angle. So the purple one is now called a straight angle. And it has a measure of 180 degrees. It is essentially a line. So when we talk about lines in pictures, we can assume that that is 180 degrees. Okay? If you look at this arc, the purple arc looks like half of a circle. So half of a circle, so a circle is 360 degrees. So half of a circle is 180 degrees, and that's exactly what this arc is projecting, half of a circle. And then I'll go back to red, and if instead of going all the way to the other side, if I start there and I go to somewhere, say right there. Now this angle right here, that is what we call an obtuse angle. So here in red, that is called an obtuse angle. And an obtuse angle measures somewhere in between 90 and 180 degrees. And this is the gamut of angle measures you will see in this class. So don't really worry about 0 degrees, but acute, 0 to 90, right, 90, obtuse, between 90 and 180, and a straight angle is 180. All right, great. Okay, thanks for watching. We are done with angles. Good luck on your practice.